This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Phil Laskowski coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Thursday, June 12th. Taiwan and France reaffirms growing ties in tech, trade, and security. Taiwan pushes non-red supply chain to counter global economic risks. And Taiwan-US envoy urges Senate action on tax relief and arms sales. But first, today's top story. President Lai Ching-te expresses sincere appreciation of the French Parliament for its long-standing support of Taiwan's international participation and for becoming the first major country to legislate protections for freedom of navigation in the Taiwan Strait. On Thursday, President Lai met with Marie-Noëlle Battistel, chair of the Taiwan-France Friendship Group in the French National Assembly, and her visiting delegation. He said he looks forward to deepening Taiwan-France cooperation in key areas including trade, energy, and digital security. Lai also highlighted the steady growth of bilateral ties in recent years across sectors such as economics, technology, culture, and sports. At last month's Choose France Summit in Paris, companies from both countries announced new partnerships in semiconductors and satellite technology. Taiwanese firms are also actively participating in the ongoing Viva Tech exhibition in France, underscoring strong engagement at both governmental and industry levels. In her remarks, Battistel said the visit provided a valuable opportunity to observe the expanding scope of Taiwan-France collaboration, particularly in energy, semiconductors, youth engagement, and cultural exchange. She noted that both sides also discussed shared security concerns, including foreign interference, artificial intelligence, and disinformation. Battistel reaffirmed the French Parliament's commitment to strengthening ties with Taiwan amid a shifting and complex global landscape. The Foreign Ministry stated that amid rising downside risks to the global economy, it is working closely with Taiwan's overseas missions to enhance international connectivity by promoting a non-red supply chain. In a newly released report summarizing the ministry and its overseas missions' first quarter 2025 achievements in economic diplomacy, it noted that recent U.S. tariff measures have triggered market volatility. It also warned that potential retaliatory actions from the U.S. trade partners have increased uncertainty in global trade policy, heightening the risk of economic slowdown. In response to these evolving dynamics, the ministry emphasized its commitment to leveraging Taiwan's strategic positions with the both global and democratic value chain and the Indo-Pacific's first island chain. Taiwan, it said, is working alongside the United States and other democratic partners to build a more resilient and diversified semiconductor supply chain. The report highlights several accomplishments, including efforts to bolster semiconductor supply chain resilience, co-develop opportunities in new energy and carbon credits, and deepen industrial cooperation with allied nations. Regarding Taiwan's bid to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, the ministry is focusing on securing support from the member states, intensifying lobbying efforts, and organizing delegations to trade exports in Australia, the bloc's 2025 rotating chair, to amplify Taiwan's presence and strengthen diplomatic goodwill. Taiwan's representative to the United States, Alexander Yui, urged the U.S. Senate to pass legislation aimed at reducing tax burdens between the two nations and to expedite military sales to Taiwan during a closed-door lunch meeting with House members on Wednesday. Yui also expressed appreciation for American leaders recognizing the existential threat posed by China, but emphasized the need for faster delivery of weapons to Taiwan. He suggested that the U.S. should prioritize the delivery of military equipment that Taiwan has already purchased, while both sides work together to strengthen Taiwan's defense capabilities. The envoy also highlighted increasing concerns about China's provocative actions in the Taiwan Strait and the broader Indo-Pacific region. The representative from Taiwan specifically urged the Senate to pass the United States-Taiwan Expedited Double Tax Relief Act. This legislation has already passed the House with overwhelming bipartisan support, but is currently stalled in the Senate. The representative, Yui, pointed out that Taiwan is the only major U.S. trading partner without such tax relief arrangements, while he described a concerning situation. Republican Representative August Pfluger, who attended the meeting, told reporters the session demonstrated support for Taiwan's democratic government while condemning China's authoritarian policies. Pfluger highlighted the stark differences between Taiwan's openness and China's suppression of free speech and persecution of minority groups like Uyghur Muslims, describing these actions as deeply concerning. National Central University's Taiwan Polar Research Center has successfully joined the University of the Arctic, UArctic, an international organization connecting polar research institutions worldwide. The center, established in 2023 to study polar warming and sustainability issues, gained membership after receiving approval from over two-thirds of UArctic members during the organization's annual meeting on June 8th. Center Director Ni Chuenfa explained that Taiwan's only polar research center actively pursued this membership to strengthen international cooperation and expand Taiwan's participation in polar science and climate change discussions. The center first approached UArctic during the inaugural First Asia-Arctic Conference in Japan this February, where representatives made their case for inclusion in the network that comprises over 200 universities and research institutions. Ni emphasized that joining UArctic will help Taiwan overcome academic diplomatic barriers and create more opportunities for international collaboration on global climate issues. He hopes this membership will showcase Taiwan's efforts and investment in polar research to the global community. The director highlighted the importance of polar research, noting that what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. He explained that changes in polar regions impact the entire globe due to the interconnectedness of oceans and the atmosphere. By having its own research team gather data from the areas, Taiwan can better respond to climate change, particularly for indigenous communities most affected by environmental shifts. The Central Weather Administration reported Thursday that Tropical Storm U-tip, the first tropical storm of the year, is rapidly approaching Taiwan. It is expected to hit the eastern coast by the evening and remain there until tomorrow. The Central Weather Administration cautions those in Hualien, Taitung, and southern Taiwan to be mindful of heavy rainfall and high tides. Tropical Storm U-tip formed over the South China Sea and is now moving northwest toward Hainan Island, Guangdong, and Guangxi. The influence of the storm's outer cloud system has caused significant amounts of rain in eastern Taiwan since Wednesday night. The greatest impact from the storm will be felt Thursday evening and Friday morning. While the probability of Tropical Storm U-tip strengthening into a typhoon is not high, the Central Weather Administration warns that weather conditions may change rapidly until Saturday. In addition, as this period of heavy rainfall coincides with high tides, southern Taiwan should be aware of the possibility of flooding. 5 national medical organizations have issued a joint statement backing the government's push for concrete tax reforms to help stabilize the workforce in emergency, critical care, and rare disease treatment. In light of a growing wave of resignations among emergency room and neurology physicians, Taiwan's National Health Insurance Administration, under the Health Ministry, announced Wednesday that it is considering changes to the current tax system for hospital doctors. One key proposal under the discussions is exempting doctors' overtime pay from income tax, with potential implementation as early as next year's filing season. In a joint statement released Thursday, the Taiwan Hospital Association, Taiwan Medical Association, Taiwan Union of Nurses Association, Taiwan Non-Governmental Hospitals and Clinics Association, and Taiwan College of Healthcare Executives voiced strong support for the initiative. They called on the government to take real action and reference international practices in the UK and Germany, where on-call stipends for physicians are either tax-exempt or subject to reduced taxation. The statement also urged the adoption of fairer tax treatment for medical workers, akin to compensation models offered to police and firefighters. To ease workforce pressures, the groups advocated for differentiated subsidies tailored to high-stress specialties such as emergency medicine, critical care, anesthesiology, obstetrics, and pediatrics. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Phil Laskowski. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.